Hey everybody, today I wanted to talk about, are you inside the box or outside of the box? Now I'll explain what that means as we go along, but think about your past. I feel very strongly that our past contributes to who we are today, not in the sense that it shapes us, that the past itself shapes us, but in the sense of how we formulate and determine what our decisions are based on that past. That is what shapes us and how we will move forward. So the decisions that we make, that we choose to allow our past to make, is how we're going to be moving forward. And that can change over time. But certainly our past determines how we think. I mean, there's several different directions we can go in when there's an event that happens, whether it's in the past or in the present or in the future. And what we choose as those decisions as a result of those events is what shapes our future and what shapes us going forward. Okay? So here's an example. When I was young, say maybe 8, 9, 10. I mean, I don't have a lot of memories of when I was young, but the ones that I do have are really strongly impressed upon my mind. So they must have impressed me for some reason or another to stay there. But when I was like 8, 9, or 10, we lived on a farm out in the country, gravel roads. I got my first two-wheeler bike. And and at the time I was just like so excited, but now I think, wow, I was so old. I mean, I have a granddaughter who's age 6 and got her first two-wheeler bike. But I was so excited. So just to give you an idea, perspective, we lived down this long lane, and at the bottom of the lane, there is this garage, okay? And then over here is the house, and then, let's see, this is all backwards for me. So here's the barn, here is the house, back behind, over here is the garage. And in between here, the farm, the barn, and the house, like halfway through is a bridge. So I would start back here at the garage on my bicycle. I'd be riding, and I'd get to the bridge, and I would stop. It was like there was this stop sign there that told me I had to stop. I mean, there wasn't, but in my brain, I'm thinking, oh, I gotta stop here. And I would stop because it was like the first time that I actually rode it the whole way on a two-wheeler bike. And I would be so excited, and I'd run up to my mom and say, hey, Mom, I went this far. I went to the bridge. And I'd go back and I'd do it again. Mom, I did it again. And I'd go back and I'd do it again. And this would happen over and over again. And finally, my mom said, why don't you go farther than the bridge? What a novel idea. I can go farther than the bridge. She gave me permission to go farther than the bridge. I mean, in my mind, I needed that permission to go farther than the bridge. Why? It's not like I had never gone farther than the bridge before. I mean, every day I walked it back and forth from the barn, from the house to the barn to the fields. I walked it. Why did I think I could not go any farther than the bridge? It was something new. This two-wheel bicycle, this two-wheel mode of transportation was new for me. And I needed permission to do that. It's like that area from the house to the bridge was my box. My box. But over here was new territory on that bicycle. It was outside of the box. And I needed permission to go there. But once I did that, it was like I had unlimitless access to whatever. But I had self-imposed this limitation on me that I couldn't go farther than that without permission. It was something new. So apparently, so I learned it, and after that point, I went wherever. I went even up on the road and over to various places. But apparently, I'm a little slow learner to apply it to everything, because throughout school, throughout high school, into my early 20s, I still needed permission to speak to or speak up about something that was new or unconventional. You follow whatever the teacher says, you're in the box. You follow whatever your friends say because it doesn't matter. You're willing to do whatever. And, it's not, you don't need to have everything the way you want it, so to speak. But when you marry somebody that has a creative and a no reservations type of a mind, who thinks and who thinks why not instead of cannot, and they use unconventional means to modify or fix conventional things, who is resourceful, then you start thinking of ways to be that way yourself. Like, oh, how come you can be that way? Maybe I can too. Well, I had to start being that way once we had children, and I stayed home to be with my children. And so the income was not a lot, and so became resourceful. One of the things I did was I would shop garage sales, and normally if something had a hole in their knee, you would not buy it, right? Well, I would buy them, I would cut them off and make shorts out of them, and they worked really well. I remember one time I would start using the kids' clothes that fit them as a pattern to make new clothes. I remember one time I made a dress for my daughter, and the fabric matched a dress I had made for myself. And I patterned it, using a dress she had, but I made it into a back and a two-piece front where it would button or something. Well, apparently I didn't make it wide enough up here for the buttons to overlap. So, the old think inside the box me would have said, oh, it's ruined, I can't do anything else with it. But thinking outside of that box, my vision is farther now. I just made buttonholes on both sides, used ribbon to put through those buttonholes as ties. So it didn't have to overlap, it just came together, and it was beautiful. And I seem to do that with a lot of things. I might find a crochet or a knitting pattern that I like, never made it before, I'll get the directions to it, and I'll make it, or think I've made it the way the pattern says, and it's probably not exactly the way the pattern says, and so I modify it, maybe using some other embellishments, and I end up liking it better than what the actual pattern was. But you're sometimes are forced to think outside the box, but it's a good thing to be able to do that. So when you have a new approach, thinking outside the box is good. You don't need permission to do that. So fast forward to my health issues. It was not easy to try to find alternative ways to heal and be healthy. It was not the norm, it was not the conventional, and it was looked down upon. Let's just put it out there. Boom. It was looked down upon to do something that was non-conventional, whether it be from family, from friends, whoever, your doctors. They would think you were crazy and extreme in your actions and what you were doing. But I knew that the old box me could not accept the conventional way to do things. Just take medicine for your symptoms, and then I've worked in a healthcare field, so I know the side effects of medications. You might not have them at first, but long term, if you keep doing that, eventually you have side effects. Then you take a medicine for that side effect, then a medicine for that side effect. And I grew up in a family where I rarely had any medication for anything. So having to be on medication long term, that just wasn't going to sit with me. So it took years for me to do research, literally years. And there's always more research to be done because there's always new things to be found. But as you see now, even the medical field is accommodating and accepting the fact that alternative means of healing, and especially in the diet area, that diet is very important, is beneficial, that allopathic or the typical means of treating something using medicines is not the only way to do it. But when I would go in to see a doctor, I would be like asking him questions. What about this? What about that? They don't like to be asked questions. Somehow they feel they're challenged or something. But there is always more than one way to do things, and that is looking out here. Not looking here, looking out there, and looking outside of the box, because that is why I am serving in this capacity on this platform. I have done the research. I am willing to share my research with what I have found with everybody here, because I guarantee you that there's many people in this group and people that who are in that fear stage of trying something new because they didn't know about it before. Maybe they don't have the support of doing it. But don't be that way. Do not shortchange yourself in your ability to look beyond the box and to accommodate your life, to take control of your health in your life outside of that accepted box. Do not devalue your abilities in that way, any way, shape, or form. You don't be like me and take so many years to figure it out and to take control of your life and to have the confidence to make the decisions and to do the research. I mean, I've done a lot of the research already for you, and I'm happy to share it with you, but don't shortchange yourself. Look beyond that box. Set your goals, whether it be a week, 2 weeks, a month, 6 months, 1 year. Set your goals where you want to be in that time. Start off with those short-term goals, because really looking beyond the box, those are your goals. That's where you want to be. And that's how you can do it, by not allowing others, not requiring others' permission to do what you need to do. So all I can say is do not shortchange yourself. Keep moving forward with decisions to get you outside of the box for those new ways of thinking, whether it be lifestyle changes, diet changes, methods of healing, whatever it might be, just do it. Have a great day, everyone.